So with the ball selected, there's the sphere. This is the animation on the ball. The translate Y, translate Z, and the rotation. What we want to do is keep the rotation X on the sphere, but move the translation Y and Z to the group, because we want the ball to be able to spin, rotate, but have a squash deformer at the base of the ball, so that every time we use the squash deformer, we're always squishing the ball down to the bottom. If we try to use the scale tool would be in the middle, so the ball would go up and down. That wouldn't work. And if we move the pivot point of the ball to the bottom here, when we rotated the ball, when the ball spun, the pivot point wouldn't remain at the bottom, and as a result, we wouldn't be able to scale it consistently so that it went to the ground. So our first thing we can do, if we go and go into the animation or rigging, either one of those menus, and go to deform, nonlinear, and say squash, with that ball selected, we see what we get is a squash deformer on there. It's a little hard to see, but if we say T, there it is. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch here, switch the view for a second to the this front view, because that gives me a little more clearer picture of the ball. The squash container there. If I click that squash handle, by default it's in the middle too, so it's not going to help us much. But like I said in the instructions, what we want to do, move the squash deformer down so that line represents where the factor, or where the squash deformer is going to take effect. Now if I hit the letter T to get the transform tools, this is the upper bound. I'm going to raise that up to the very top of the ball. This is the lower bound. I'm going to raise that to the bottom of the ball, and then I'm going to grab that middle dot and bring it down. So now you see the ball will only change its shape right at that base. And if you look in the channel box here, there is an input squash, and if we look right there, that factor is telling us what the level of squash is, basically. You know, higher number, really squashed. 0 means no squash. Okay, so we're going to leave that at 0 right now. And if I go back now and play the movie, let's pull out a little bit so you can see better. And I think, yeah, okay, we're going to be from the back. So let me see if I can get a side view here. And let's see if I can real quickly. Okay. There's the ball. So if we watch it now, it should. Let's see, the squash deformer is left behind. The ball is still doing all the rotation and translations we asked it to do as a ping pong ball, but the squash deformer is staying right there behind. Okay, so we need to get the squash deformer onto the group, and we need to get the group to have the X and Y translation of the ball, and we want to have the X and Y translation on the, translation Y and translation Z in this case, on the group, and we want to have the sphere only hold the rotation X. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take the squash handle in the outliner here, middle mouse drag it up. So now that's in the group. Okay. Now again, the group has no animation on it, so if I play this, the same thing's going to happen. Squash form is going to sit there. So the next step we'll do, the next tape, we'll talk about how to translate or transfer the Y and Z translations of the ball to the group that now contains the ball and the squash handle.